Hello all, and welcome back to my channel. As I stated previously, this video is going to be about my experience with the vegan diet and what it did to my health. I hope you enjoy. So, a little bit of background about me. I was born and raised in Scotland, which means that I was raised on a traditional Scottish diet. The only health issue that I had at the time was asthma, and that was it. I've had asthma since I was a little child, and that was the only thing that I'd ever experienced that was wrong with my health at that point. And then I moved to the United States when I was 19 years old, and with a long flight ahead of me, I actually bought the Dr. Michael Greger How Not to Die book, um, and that's where it all started. I was immediately hooked on the book. And when I first moved to the US, I was unable to work and go to school, so I spent time watching all the documentaries, watching all the lectures, reading all their books. People like Dr. Michael Greger, Dr. John McDougall, Dr. Neil Barnard stood out to me. As an aspiring doctor myself, I looked up to these people, believed every single thing that they said. I mean, I thought these doctors were brilliant. Like, they're doing such a good deed for people. They're teaching them how to make their health better, and they have all these studies and medical backgrounds. So I was very naive and truly believed that there's no way that they could be lying to me. And so I remember this almost immediately. It was like 2 a.m. in the morning. I went down to my local Walmart and bought a whole bunch of vegan foods. Um, and I came home later that morning. I cleaned out all of my pantry of non vegan food, threw it all away, and I filled it with all this vegan food. And I mean, that was it. I was officially a vegan, right? Like, I had all the food now, there was no going back. This is it. And initially, I felt great, as everybody does. But around the 6 month mark, it was about Christmas time actually. I remember I was at home, had to use the restroom, and I couldn't help but notice after I'd used the restroom this overwhelmingly sweet smell. But I didn't really think anything of it. I thought it was weird, but you know, I continued about my business. And my roommate at the time actually went into the bathroom after me and was like, "Hey, your pee smelled really sweet." And I was like, "Okay, you noticed that too? That's really freaking weird. Like, my pee shouldn't be smelling sweet." But I continued to ignore these symptoms, and my next set of symptoms actually arrived a few months later. I was going out to eat with my friend, and I love going out to eat. It's difficult as a vegan, of course, I had to choose where we had to eat. And I just remember we sat down to eat, and I got this overwhelmingly horrible sensation of nausea. I've never had nausea like this before in my life. And it was horrible. I couldn't eat my food. And ever since that moment, I had daily, constant, debilitating nausea. It was awful. I couldn't eat. I started losing weight. It was awful. And I thought, what could this be? Like, why am I getting all this nausea all of a sudden out of nowhere? Like, it was awful. Like, I, I couldn't even go out to eat with my friends anymore. I couldn't enjoy food like I once did because I was just nauseous every single day. And I had absolutely no idea in the world how to fix it. I had no health insurance at the time, so I couldn't go to the doctor. And I really, really, truly didn't believe that it was my diet that was causing this. I began to think to myself, maybe it's my birth control messing with me. Nope, it wasn't that. Maybe I had some kind of food intolerance. Definitely wasn't that either. Maybe I had bad anxiety. I don't know. But I bought all these anxiety help books as well, and it wasn't that either. I've never had anxiety in my life. And then maybe, just maybe, I could be pregnant, right? Like, every female who has constant nausea, it crosses their mind that they could be pregnant. So I remember I took countless numbers of pregnancy tests over a few months. They all came back negative, of course. I wasn't pregnant, but I was really at wit's end. I was like, what the heck is wrong with me? Why am I nauseous all the time? And it was just so debilitating. Like, it's horrible. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. And so, what did I do next? I decided to go out and buy a bunch of supplements because I thought that's what I need. Where I tried like every supplement under the sun, nothing worked. And I remember when my mother even visited me, she was like, "You're so skinny, your eyes are black underneath, like what's going on?" And I was so self-conscious of like the amount of hair I was losing, but regardless, I continued to stay on this vegan diet. And so as time went on, I started getting new symptoms, excessive heartburn and acid reflux, continuous belching and burping, feelings of fullness, extreme abdominal pain. I couldn't deal with this anymore, and finally, after 2 years, I got health insurance, and I decided to visit a gastroenterologist because I had had enough. It had been 2 years of this crap. Like, my daily life was ruined. And so, with the help of the gastroenterologist, I had to go through a bunch of tests. I had to do CT scans, endoscopies, stomach biopsies, HIDA scans, and this is a footage of me actually going through my HIDA scan. And it sucked. It was like a 2 hour scan, and it was just ridiculous. And here is a picture of my liver. But yeah, that was just one of the scans that I'd gone through in my life at that point. And finally, I thought, we're getting somewhere. We're getting some tests done. Finally, going to get an answer. And by the way, going through all those tests really sucks. Like, I have never, like I said, I've only ever had asthma, and this is like the most horrible thing I've had. So this next picture of me is actually in the hospital. I'm trying to smile and laugh, but I was in the hospital because I had a really bad flare up where I was just throwing up a bunch of undigested food. I had really bad abdominal pain and dehydration. The picture quality kind of sucked. It wasn't taken on my phone, but regardless, after all these tests, I did more gastric emptying tests, and I finally got a diagnosis. So I had a whole bunch of inflammation in my duodenum, which is my small intestine, and in my large intestine. I had a distended stomach, and I also had some diverticulum, which isn't fun. It's an inflammatory condition. It causes a lot of pain, and it can sometimes start bleeding, which is really bad. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody at all. So I had a lot of inflammation going on, and I also got the diagnosis of a gastroparesis. And what that is it literally translates to stomach paralyzation. So my stomach just stopped working. It would stop digesting food, hence why I would throw up undigested food and have this crippling nausea and the belching and burping because my food was just sitting in there. It wasn't really going anywhere. And I also had really high blood sugars as well, hence why my urine was smelling sweet. It's a very serious symptom, but I chose to ignore it because I was being really naive. I thought that nothing could break me on this diet. My doctor recommended that I stop eating a vegan diet. He said that by eating these plant foods, it's making it much harder for my stomach to digest them because they are very difficult to digest as it is. And he said that this is probably the likely cause of all my symptoms. As again, plant foods are very difficult to digest, and by constantly having to eat because you're constantly hungry on a vegan diet, it was never giving my stomach a break. And like I said, these foods are really hard to digest and really harsh on the stomach. So I stopped that vegan diet immediately. I was also put on rounds of medication as well. And these medications really suck, by the way. So I was put on something called metoclopramide, which is something that helps speed up gastric emptying. You can only be on it for 12 weeks at a time as it causes tardive dyskinesia, which could mean that my face could twitch in random directions and stay in that position. So it's not a nice side effect. I was also put on Zofran to stop me from vomiting. But that also leads to very bad constipation. Pepto-Bismol was also my best friend at that time. Pepto-Bismol, if you don't know, is basically just a stomach soother. It has some aspirin and stuff in there. But oh my goodness, I've never been on this amount of medication in my life. And yes, this is all real. Like, here is video clips of me showing my medications that I would take that would sometimes work, sometimes not work, and it really, really sucks. Like, a lot of people want to turn a blind eye to what a vegan diet does to them, but this is what happened to me. So I'm now recovering. My stomach is working again and I'm able to eat again. It's still not 100%, but my urine is smelling normal. My blood sugars are back to normal. But I'm sharing this because I would not wish this on anybody. And I just want to share, the dangers of what a vegan diet can do, especially, the gastrointestinal side of it. I hope that someone can relate to this. I haven't actually met anybody who's gone through the same things that I've gone through. A vegan diet is dangerous. Like, please stop now before your health takes a toll and before you get as bad as I did. Vegans will always say you did the diet wrong, but that in itself just proves how wishy-washy this diet is. There's not enough research on it. And honestly, it ruined my stomach. So thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.